Hi there, everyone. It's my pleasure to be sitting today with Jasmine Saab, our wonderful Educator of the Month for the month of October. And Jasmine, this is our first Educator of the Month, and we're really excited to be talking to you today. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I am super stoked to be here. I love Wonder Workshop and everything that they do. I am a fourth grade teacher here at in South Carolina. I teach on a military naval weapons station, and this is my third year teaching. I graduated from the College of Charleston in 2017, and now I'm teaching full time. I love fourth grade. I teach all subjects. We're actually a school that's one-to-one, so all my students have iPads, and last year I wrote a grant that got funded for upper elementary students to have iPads as well. So we have Chromebooks and we have iPads that we use for coding on a daily basis.
That's wonderful. So each month, we will ask 5 questions to our wonderful educators of the month so you can get to know them a little bit better. So let's begin. So question one, what is your why for becoming a teacher?
Yeah, I first of all love teaching. I love inspiring other students, but I think the reason that I got into teaching was because of all the amazing educators, teachers, professors, mentors that I had growing up who made learning so fun for me. I really enjoyed going through school, and it just seemed like building those relationships with those other more knowledgeable others who are really helping me set my path up made going into education so much fun. I ended up getting a scholarship for the Teaching Fellows program that paid my way through school, and so obviously that really helped me out. And then once I got accepted into the School of Ed, I also was a teacher leader who worked one-on-one with the dean, and so that was really fun for me. After graduating, I got a wonderful job at a great school. I love all my coworkers and my team, my teacher team, my go-to people, and my administration's great. I love the district, and so it's really awesome. It's honestly my dreams coming true, teaching students and doing what I love and making learning fun for them. So
Well, I mean, it's totally evident in the work that you're doing and sharing with the social media crowd that's out there. And it's so important to love what you do and love where you work. So that's great that you've already found that so early on in your career.
yeah, it's really awesome. I love coming to work every day. I love my class, my students. Being able to work at a military naval weapons station has been awesome. It's kind of a different dynamic with the students just because their parents are either deployed or they've moved so frequently. And I've kind of experienced that growing up as well. My father was an immigrant, and after my parents got divorced, moving around quite a bit. So it really gives me that chance to kind of connect on with my students on that kind of level of moving constantly, making new friends, and what that's really like and how to help them through that process. So
Well,
it's a
they're
great
lucky to
school. I
have
really love it.
you to guide them through all of that too.
Yeah.
So question number two, what interested you in coding and robotics?
So I honestly didn't know that I really liked coding until my second year teaching. We had this huge pumpkin carving contest that they do every year, and I actually have a 3D printer in my classroom that I got from Donors Choose, which I also didn't really technically know that I wanted. One of my coworkers came up to me and was like, "Hey, Jasmine, I know you're a first year teacher. You need to sign up for Donors Choose, put up a project." And I was like, "Oh, I don't really like asking people for money. That doesn't sound like my deal." She was like, "They're doing something for first year teachers. You have to put up a project because honestly, it benefits me." So I was like, "Okay, I will put up a project, but only if it's something super ridiculous and way out there, super expensive that I know I'm not going to get, like a 3D printer." She was like, "I don't care. Honestly, do whatever you want." So I put up a project for a 3D printer. Long story short, it ended up getting funded. So a couple of days later, I had a 3D printer sitting in my classroom that I had no idea what to do with. After a year, I figured out how to use it and then printing out some stuff. So back to the pumpkin carving contest, I knew that I wanted to do something with a 3D printer, something super cool. So I ended up printing all these parts for a Cinderella
Wow.
carriage. The wheels, the axle, all of the pieces, everything else is held together by hot glue and kebab skewers and paper clips. And believe it or not, an entire pumpkin can sit and this thing can hold it. And so I was talking to one of my technology coaches, and I was telling her this crazy idea that I had at the time that didn't really come to life, but I was kind of like, I want something that moves. I want something that kind of rolls around. I needed to do something super awesome. And so she was like, whatever you do, you need to use this robot because it neighs like a horse and it will pull it around and stuff like that. So we ended up building the carriage, carving the pumpkin, and then attaching it to Dash, dressing Dash up like a horse and having it pull the pumpkin carriage around with Cinderella in it and having it neigh around the school. And it was just the coolest thing. And after that, I was like, I need to have these in my classroom. They're just so awesome. The coolest robots, really fun, super cute. The kids love them. And so that's really honestly what got me into coding. And from there, it was kind of just trial and error and figure out how to use it and put it in my classroom and do it with, like, integrate it to what we're learning and with our standards and stuff like that.
That's amazing. And right behind me over here, I have a 3D printer that I'm still trying to figure out how to use. So I might have to tap on your shoulder to get a little bit of extra help with that, because I have not yet printed something as cool as Cinderella's carriage at all yet.
For sure. I'm not a pro, but I know my way around it now, probably because it broke so many times. I had to figure out how to make it work.
So question number 3 kind of relates to what you were just sharing, but how is coding and robotics with Dash, Dot, or Q impacted your teaching?
So number one by far is it made me the coolest teacher ever. I really can't give anything else other than these robots. I mean, they pretty much steal the show for me. They're really fun. It makes it really easy to start doing cross-curricular learning. The kids really enjoy it. I mean, just learning becomes so much more intriguing for them if they are able to use the robot and kind of manipulate it and apply it to what we're actually learning. And my first project was way big. I bit off more than I could chew by far, which was a water cycle coding project where they had to code Dash to act like a raindrop and go through the water cycle through all the different phases. And they built a giant map, colored the entire thing. They had to talk through that. So it integrated the arts, science, technology. It covered our math standards with degrees, geometry, measurement, and then science, all that stuff. So it makes, just learning so much fun. The kids love coming to school. All the kids wanted me as their 4th grade teacher this year because they saw what we were doing when they were 3rd graders and walking by my classroom and looking in. They're like, oh my gosh, that's the teacher with the robots. So Dash and Dot totally made me the cool teacher around the school.
You've already created your name for yourself and you're just starting your career. That's amazing. All right, question number 4. What is your favorite moment with using Dash, Dot, or Q?
So it would have to be during that water cycle coding project. One of my students, so I added an ELA portion on top of that, which was to think about what would a raindrop think or say during each phase of the water cycle as they were moving or transitioning from one phase to another. And so it added kind of that narrative feeling. And one student who was coding and programming decided to record his voice and put in the Free Falling song by Tom Petty from the 1990s, and like, I'm free falling from the sky. And I was like, it just was like the funniest thing. We all just burst into laughter. All the kids just thought it was hilarious. And so it's funny how kids really get creative once they start seeing what these robots can do, because it kind of just opens the box for them that what they think is possible, they can just go so much further beyond that. And so then they start getting really creative, and you can kind of see their wheels turning with that. But that was by far my favorite moment, for sure.
That's wonderful. And question number 5, what tips do you have for a teacher that is just getting started in coding and robotics?
So first of all, I would definitely start small. I feel like I said, I started with a huge project. Start with something small. I feel like Wonder Workshop Online has a wonderful website with a lot of curriculum to help teachers who really need to get started into coding. It makes it really easy. It draws it out for you. But then at the same time, just go for it. I feel like I know so many teachers who are scared of coding, scared of integrating technology because they just don't have all the answers, or they want a set answer key or whatnot. And that's not what you want to really show to your students. You want to show to your students that there's more than one way to solve a problem, and sometimes you just need to attack it, and you might not know the answers, you might not have answers, but you're going to figure it out along the way, and not everyone's path is the same. You can code the same like path. You can code a robot to do the same thing and have two totally different ways about going about it. So for those teachers who are wanting to get started, just try it. Borrow some technology, borrow some materials, and just kind of come up with something, or use the curriculum that's already there for you and try it. Start small with a small group who can kind of catch on, and you'll figure out your way. But you really kind of just got to do it and do some trial and error, and you'll figure it out. But that's the way to go.
And the students can figure it out too, right? I mean, you don't have to be the expert in this. The students, you put this in front of them, they will figure out how to do it in many cases.
Absolutely. And a lot of kids have some experience with coding with other programs, other websites, maybe not actually coding physical robots. But I mean, puzzle pieces are really easy. I mean, you put a puzzle in front of a kid and the kid will do it. I mean, coding is pretty much the same thing. You don't have to have an answer key to a puzzle. You don't have to have answer key to the code. I mean, just tell them, and it really helps this process of just critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving, is you just give them a task. Say, I don't know how to solve it. You don't know how to solve it. Figure it out. And just kind of sit there for a while until they do. And they end up coming along, they figure it out. They come along their path, they figure it out. And it might not be the way that you intended for them to do it, but they do. And it's really awesome to see that as an educator, and have them going through and learning this process. Because how many times can you really say as a teacher, my student redid something 100 times? Our class redid the code for that water cycle project 100 times. You know that they know what are the steps of the water cycle, because they had to go through that process so many times. So that's what I would have to say for sure.
Wonderful. So is there anything else that you would like to share today before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm really honored to be Educator of the Month. I am so thankful to be able to be here and be on this podcast. And I just wanted to say shout out to my school, shout out to everyone that I work with and who's helped me along my path and my way. Shout out to my students, because they're awesome. And if everyone could follow me on Twitter at Jasmine Saab, YouTube, same thing, at Jasmine Saab, and Instagram at Cactus Crew 507. I would love to get to know some more educators and be inspired by you guys as well.
Be sure to connect with Jasmine, because she's doing some incredible things in her classroom and is actively sharing them on social media. So Jasmine, thank you so much for taking the time with us to sit today and chat. It's wonderful to hear from you all the amazing things that you're doing in your school. And if you'd like to be considered to be a Wonderful Educator of the Month or receive Q Fist Bumps, be sure to complete the Wonderful Moments with Wonder Workshop form found in the global educator community. So thanks again, Jasmine. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.